You wanted the best. You've got the best podcast. The hottest podcast in the world. The Chris Voss Show, the preeminent podcast with guests so smart you may experience serious brain bleed. The CEOs, authors, thought leaders, visionaries, and motivators. Get ready. Strap yourself in. Keep your hands, arms, and legs inside the vehicle at all times, because you're about to go on a monster education roller coaster with your brain. Now, here's your host, Chris Voss.
Crap, I forgot to strap in. Oh, hey, welcome, folks. Welcome to the Chris Voss Show, the Chris Voss Show. I don't know, I figured I'd throw that in there to see what happened there. You know, that just brings a light to the show. Welcome to the show, folks. Make sure you are strapped in. Put that seatbelt on. Make sure you seatbelt the person beside you. I don't have that plane lingo down yet. And make sure that if you get the oxygen mask falls down, you put it on yourself first before you share it with others. Anyway, guys, welcome to the big show. As always, for 16 years, 2400 episodes, we bring in the Chris Voss Show because, we were bored. And we're like, hey, we should do something that lifts the world and makes the world a better place and shares great information with people. And someone said, we should do a show that's really depressing and awful and makes people's life horrible. And we're like, no, we're not doing that. We're making a great show. So go to goodreads.com/Chris Voss, LinkedIn.com/Chris Voss, Chris Voss 1 on the Chris Voss video, and Chris Voss Facebook. Chris Voss 1 on the TikTok. You know all the places. It's on every damn show at the beginning and end. Opinions expressed by guests on the podcast are solely their own and do not necessarily reflect the opinions of the host or the Chris Voss Show. Some guests of the show may be advertising on the podcast, but it is not an endorsement or review of any kind. Anyway, we have an amazing young man on the show. We're going to be talking about wines today. We're not going to be whining about wines. We're going to be talking about wines, and I don't know, maybe we'll drink one during the show. Today, we have Josh Greenstein. He's the Executive Vice President of the Israeli Wine Producers Association, otherwise known as IWPA. We may use that during the show, so write that down so you know what that means. He represents Israeli wines with a unified voice to communicate, educate, market, and expose U.S. customers and consumers to Israel as a world-class wine region. The IWPA represents 40-plus Israeli wineries ranging from boutique to the largest producer. Welcome to the show, Josh. How are you?
Thanks, Chris. Having a great day.
I love it. Give us .coms or wherever on the internet you guys want people to look you guys up.
So at Israeli Wine is always a great place to find us on Instagram. And my personal one is at Jag Wines. Related.
Give us a 30,000 overview of what you guys do there.
So Chris, I come from the wine industry. I'm fifth generation wine industry.
Oh, wow.
My family was doing this back in the day during Prohibition. We were bootleggers. My dad just retired after 47 years of working in the market.
In bootlegging or wine? No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, he was bootlegging for a long time.
Well, that's a long time to bootleg.
His trunk was filled with crap, don't worry. And actually, my brother's still in the business, working also. And I've worked for a couple different companies, from Gallo to Deutsch, Yellowtail.
Oh, wow.
And about 13 years ago, I created this organization called the IWPA to sell the fun, the good, the positive coming out of Israel, and that's through wine.
Well, wine seems to be made just about every place nowadays and stuff. What makes Israel unique or kind of specialized in the wine trade?
Chris, it's interesting, right? Israel has been making wine for about 5,000 years, let's say, right? They finally got recognized for being good at it.
Is it kosher?
So it's a lot of all my wines happen to be kosher.
Oh, there we go.
It's the same thing as if I was drinking a Snapple or having a bowl of cereal or eating crap. Most of the stuff when you go to the grocery store is kosher.
Okay.
Kosher means nothing when it comes to quality or anything like that with wine. Or food.
It sounded like a good joke, so.
Yeah, but it's one of the main things I get quite often is it kosher, and kosher really has come a long way, and the stigmatism of what people thought kosher was is not so much, and symbolizes that the product is good, clean, and ready to go.
Well, I like my wine good and clean. Of course, there's some tannins in there and some little bits of the berry and stuff in there, which is always kind of interesting to find. If you find a whole berry, you kind of have to wonder what happened. But I doubt that happens with Israeli wines. That usually happens with the with some of those I call them paint thinner wines you find at 7-Eleven.
Yeah, but listen, the cool part is about from a history perspective. Also, we were talking, before about what all these cool things that have happened in Israel, and wine has been a part of the history throughout them. Like you were saying, you wish you had that magic power to sometimes turn water into wine. That's a lot of people wish they had. Then there's some folklores and stories and all that stuff about all these things happening. And
you had some Jesus guy running around there evidently at one point in time doing some of that whole Middle East area.
Yeah. It's part of it. It's part of
I've heard of it. Yeah. Now, if I could just figure out how to turn vodka or water into vodka, I screwed that joke up. My bad. That's why I don't do stand-up. So how long has that area been settled with wines? Some wine growers, like, you go to France, they've been doing wines before there was even a France, I think, or something.
So really, like I said, since for about 5,000 years, you can really trace some roots and some stories back to Israel and back to what's been going on there. But you brought up France, and I would go to the more modern swing for Israel has been the Rothschild family. In the late 1800s, they opened up Lafite Rothschild, which is one of the most famous wineries in the world.
Really?
And a few years after that, they went to Israel. They realized that the community needed a winery, because every community needs a winery, right? Needs a watering hole. And the Rothschilds invested and created a winery called Carmel, which is still around today. Founded by the Rothschild family. They opened up only a handful of businesses. They went from Chateau, Lafite to Carmel. It's an amazing thing that they saw, and they noticed that the land was great, the terroir was great, the soil, the people, the way that they could farm the land was really going to produce some great wine.
I know, like the wine in California and Napa Valley, I only know this because I've been there and I haven't been to other places that make great wines around the world. But I know that one of the things that make the wine great, especially in Napa and Sonoma, is the fact that they get that ocean air, but then they're kind of buffered by mountains, and then they have a valley, and then there's some other mountains. And so the air and I think the quality kind of settles in there. Some of it's the sunshine too, and the warmth. You don't grow a lot of good wines in Utah because it's freezing ass half the year. But in California they do that. What are some aspects of the Israeli geography, environment, and weather that kind of make Israeli wines unique?
And like you were just saying, like a good grape, a good wine needs to be stressed, needs that hot day and that cool night. That's what really helps the wine become a better grape. Is the more stress it's under, the more tension it's under, it really puts it into the grape and produces a more powerful and great quality wine. That being said, in Israel, you'd be surprised. It does get very hot, but also even in the desert, it can get down to 50, 60 degrees in the summer at night. The temperature can go 30, 40 degrees span either which way. And also in Israel, there's many different microclimates of soils as well.
Oh, really?
It's not like it's just Terra Rosso or volcanic or sand or limestone. You can find these throughout different vineyards and really close to each other. So you're able to try different things and produce some great wines utilizing different terroirs.
Yeah. And you guys might be like California. Do you guys have sun most of the time in Israel?
I mean, yes, it's similar, I would say to that when they're harvesting and all that. We're on the same timeline as that. We're actually in harvest right now. I think they're just starting to pick a lot of the reds. Usually the white grapes are the first to be picked from timing. And now we're starting to fully pick the reds and starting to bring everything in. And it's been a hot summer over there.
What variantial of wine is the most popular that develops there? A Cabernet or a white, or what is usually? I mean, I don't want to throw anybody on the bus. You have 40 different vendors or so. What seems to be the popular wine that comes out there that gets rated the best? Maybe, I don't know. So
Cab is still king. Anywhere else in the world, Cabernet is still king.
Yeah.
But personally, even from my own perspective, I'm starting to see more fun, lighter bodied, fun grapes and fun wines for that style of temperature. Israel, like you were saying before, it's hot. And
Yeah.
for me, I personally like a white wine, or I like a refreshing wine when it's so hot out. I've noticed a lot more of the wineries are producing some great rosés and some great white wines. That's probably where I've seen some of their growth coming from.
Mhm.
Red wines are still number one, and I'm starting to see a lot of the wineries starting to embrace indigenous grapes. There's a cool grape out there called Argamon. Okay, Argamon.
Sounds like it sounds like one of those battle bots that you see in those movies.
I am Argamon.
Yeah. It sounds like that. Right?
That's what it was there. I am Argamon. So
Yeah.
Argamon is a grape that, if you read, there's a book called the Bible, right?
I've heard of that.
You know it, right?
Yeah, I've heard of that one. Yeah.
Small book, maybe some people have read it. And in this book called the Bible, quite often they mention wine, they mention grapes, they mention this. And the region that we're talking about is Israel, right? They talk about grapes using for dyeing clothes or drinking or for ceremonies. And this grape, they talk about the color, this crimson color specifically of the grape. So Israeli scientists a couple years back decided to try to reenact this grape and try to create it. So they took Carignan, which is a grape, and Suzo, which is a grape. They genetically induced them, and they created the grape called Argamon to mimic the grape from the Bible. So the only where in the world that you can get this grape called Argamon is from Israel. There's a handful of wineries that are starting to work with it, and it's showing the back to the history and to the love of the land, and producing some of this really fun, juicy wine.
That's pretty interesting. I think I heard about that. They'd resurrected that wine or whatever and brought it back, and I was like, hey, that's kind of cool. It's kind of like taking what was that movie, the dinosaurs, something park, Jurassic Park, bring it back.
But
And
that's not the only one. Actually, they're doing it with a white grape too, called a couple white grapes called Dabuki and Marawi, which are these old Arabic grapes found in these communities that were like table grapes from thousands of years ago. And they found these vines. And listen, one of the things that Israel's really known for is their technology also. Like the history and the technology go hand in hand, right? It's two amazing things. But the technology side of it, them embracing technology and going back and trying to find these grapes and turning them into something new from thousands of years ago, that's also, we're starting to see some more love on that as well.
that is awesome. That is awesome. Well, I used to be a Cabernet Sauvignon snob. And so for the first few years of me being a wine collector, I was like, I only drink Cabernet Sauvignon. And then I decided to get the stick out of my bum and start, and like you mentioned, enjoying the fun wines and the variantals. I just had to buy more Riedel Crystal. I have like a whole army of Riedel Crystal in my storage that I gave up drinking in 2020. I don't know what I'm going to do with it. It's just all sitting, and it's like everything from brandy cups to port to cabs. And I think I have like almost every variantial in there. And I'm just like, what am I going to do without that glass? But I really started enjoying, all the different variantials. And that's the real fun of wine, especially if you can get good wine that's highly rated and does well in the marketplace and, lives well. What is
Can I give you a suggestion for your glasses? Side note, really quick side note. I'm all about the mocktails too. I have an 11-year-old, and we're all about playing at home with like fruits and this and blending and seltzers and all this kind of stuff, making our own ginger. So just a side note, these cups are not just to be put away and say, I'm not putting wine in you because I'm not drinking anymore. No. Bust those cups back out, make some fun mocktails, put them in some cool cups, throw an umbrella in there, and send me a picture.
In fact, we're going to be using one of the wine glasses, probably the brandy glass, as a cup for a photo shoot I'm doing this Saturday. We're going to put a big rose in it and some water, and it's just going to look like she's holding it or drinking it. So you're right. There are some different prop-ish things we can do with it, but or mocktails for that.
Yeah, mocktails are fun.
So what are some other aspects or misunderstandings maybe people don't know about Israeli wine?
That there's over 350, almost 400 total wineries in Israel these days.
Wow.
And it's
that's small of a country.
It's a tiny country. Listen, the country of the land of milk and honey, the land of vegetation. If you go there and you taste the fruits and the vegetables and the cheeses and the stuff, it's amazing that, it's such good quality stuff. So grapes and wine, of course, are going to grow well there.
Yeah.
So I think that it's just, letting people know that Israel makes wine. That's probably one of my biggest obstacles, is just informing the world that Israeli makes wine, that there's people out there making wines, and there's close to 400 of them. And these people aren't just waking up one morning and saying, you know what, I need something to do. I'm going to go start a winery and invest time and money into it. These people are going and learning at UC Davis, or going to Bordeaux, or going to Burgundy, and learning their style of wine and bringing that style with them back. So it's not all California style or all French style. It's the winemaker style, or the style of the winery itself, that's kind of establishing the stories. But I also think it's the cool stories about each one that make them interesting.
Yeah. Well, that's pretty wild in what's going on over there with Israel. And so how long ago did you guys establish this Israeli Wine Producers Association?
So, close to 13 years ago, we created this organization to promote brand Israel and to give Israel a face in the wine world, right? To show, and like the crazy part is that at any given time in my portfolio of 40 wines, I have anywhere from 20 to 50 wines that have gotten 90 points. Robert Parker, Wine Enthusiast, Spectator, Tasting Panel, all these great publications. James Suckling, some of these the most amazing wine critics that are out there and talking about Israel, and not just showcasing the wines from France or the wines from this, but let's be honest. If I go to a tasting and I see 100 wines, I'll have a few from Israel, or one or two, but they're there. Top 100 from Wine Spectator this year. Flam made the list, and it's really? And we had Odem Mountain on the James Suckling list. So we're playing in those categories. That's the exciting part, is that we're showing that we're here to play. That again, it's been thousands of years since making wine. Like, everyone's like, oh my gosh, Napa's so old, and they've been making wine so long in Napa, and it's very cool. It's very historical, but
about 200 years or something, isn't it?
It's not that long.
Yeah, I mean, California was discovered later. I mean, unless the Indians were doing their own wines, but
maybe,
I don't know.
They're more on your corn vodka. I would probably put them.
What's the corn vodka?
That's probably what they were making. I probably think they were probably make like something still, or
those Indians were getting high with the peyote and shit.
Something.
Good for them. Yeah. Everybody needs a break. Taking arrows all day long. That's what I find on Monday. So how will selling the wines of Israel help you as liquor store merchants and help the wine producers themselves? Do you find that they're fairly popular here in the U.S., or still need to get the word out?
Well, it's interesting, Chris. I'm sure like a lot of your success on shows like yourself probably come from when you have those people on there that are not so well known that bring an interesting story to you.
Yep.
And that's what I think the cool part about Israel is. I'm offering, retailers, wine shops, restaurants are presented with new wines, new liquors every single day by multiple different people, right? It's not just me or my team or my guys walking in and, hey, look what we got today. It's many people doing that. But what makes myself different and my wines different is the story behind it. And that's what you shine from, Chris, right? You shine from telling people stories and listening to their stories and helping tell their stories. So I'm similar in that way. I'm just trying to get these stories out there to these retailers because they say, hey, I know you've tried 20 different Cabernets from around California. You've been to Napa. You've been to Sonoma. You know what? Didn't you talk about wanting to visit Israel or wanting to go here? You know what? I have something here for you. That's what I think it is. I think it's the people creating stories and letting other people try new things from around the world. People want to try new stuff all the time. That's why they all post pictures of it. That's why it's cool to be part of it. And that's where I think the world is going, that everyone wants to try something new. The brand loyalty is not as strong as it used to be in any category. People are, jumping around and trying new things. So this should be something they should jump around and try.
Yeah. I mean, I used to be a Cabernet wine snob. I would only buy off of not Charles Straw. I'm thinking of $2 Chuck. What the fuck? I forget who I used to buy from, but eventually, what's his face who did The Godfather bought him and just turned it into a generic fucking wine. Charles, I can't remember. It's not Charles Krug. Anyway, I used to be that way. And then one day I just kind of broke. I'm like, why don't you try all the wines in the world? Wines from Brazil and, shake it up, man. Come on. It's a life is variety, man. I stick with one. This explains why I'm not married. Never married. So how do people, this is my lead up. How can people buy the wines of Israel? Where and how can they find out where they're sold? Is there any sort of thing on your guys' website that's like, here's a list of retailers in the US, I know, a lot of our states over here are really stupid, still using the prohibition rules. Like Utah, if you want to sell wines here, you got to go through all this bullshit with the state commission. It maybe getting on the lists of the email lists of the winemakers themselves that are in your association.
So the cool part is we are available in all 50 states. I do have some representation of all my 40 brands in some way, and that's in some states. But the beauty part, what I'm looking for, the help that I'm looking for, is just for you to ask for it, to build awareness.
Oh, do you have some wines from Israel, man?
That's it. Walk in and just say, "Hey, do you have wines from Israel?" And the person at the shop, "What do you mean? What are you looking for?" "Well, Chris, I heard his great show. I heard this great guy on the show, and what are you talking about? You got to bring him in, or you got to try something." I think it's just awareness at this point.
Yeah.
I think there's so much stuff out there. People have the ability to go search it up themselves. People want to feel like they found it themselves also. They just need a little kick in the butt to get them in the right direction sometimes. But I think people like to do their own research and look it up and see what's out there. Because customers are very educated these days.
Yeah.
Customers are doing their own research and hearing their own stories and writing their own stories. That's what's fun about it. I want to hear their stories about my products too, how they got to them and how they tasted them, and good, bad, or different. I want to be part of it. So I think it's just me telling people what's available out there and to go ask for it. If they go to a restaurant and they know they're ordering a bottle of California, say, "Hey, do you have anything from Israel just for fun?" And just see what the waiter says, and then tease them and put it into their head.
Yeah. I mean, it's just like, Walmart says this. If you guys want it, wave the money around and we'll do it. They kind of expanded their organics lines of food and better, healthier foods when people said, we want healthier foods. So yeah, if you want wines, do you have a main distributor for the IWPA wines here in the US? I know that you can't do it in certain states, but like with Vegas, I can have wines imported that I want through the distributor. Like you have to go through them and they hand it to you and stuff. But yeah,
we're with different distributors in each market. We work closely with many of the large distributors throughout each state. We work closely with many of the major chains like Total Wine and Walmart and Wine.com and many of the big chains across the United States, and depends what state. Binny's in Chicago. The chains we're driven in some certain markets, but we're with somebody in every market.
Yeah, a lot of people, I don't know if a lot of people know that. You can, a lot of times if you want to have something shipped in from out of state, you've got to use the distributor, but you can have it delivered. And I used to get stuff delivered to my house in Utah, and then somehow it would make it to my basement in Utah. I'm not sure how that would happen, but here in Utah, it can take years for the Mormons who don't drink that sit on the board to approve the alcohol thing. It's the most ironic thing ever. So
there's a handful of states still across the U.S. Pennsylvania state controlled. It's a lot of interesting markets out there, and no one are the same. No two markets are the same.
Yeah, Jersey, you can't even pour your own gas. What's going on? It's 2025, people. Let's knock it all off. Now, talk about drip irrigation and terrain. I know we do a lot of that in Vegas because of the it's not very watery. How does that work for you guys?
So the beautiful part about drip irrigation, it was invented in Israel. That's where it's from. It's now used all over the world, like you said, from a parking lot in Vegas to keep their flowers from not dying during the summer to all over. It made all the sense in the world that when the sprinkler was going around, it happened to be wasting a lot of water, right?
Yeah.
A lot of water was getting evaporated or hitting the leaves and not going straight to the correct part of the plant. A few scientists at a community, a kibbutz in Israel, figured this out and really changed the world as far as the wine world and the farming world on way to save water and actually make the plants healthier and stronger. They've also done some other technology with insulated tanks and some other things, but yeah, they definitely embrace technology. Some countries you can't even water your grapes. Israel, they embrace it. They want you to have the best product that you can have through technology. And it's always been like that. Even 5,000 years ago, they still had these old wine vats that they were using it, but it was the most technology you could have,
Huh? Do you want to name off some of your favorite wines? I don't want to get in trouble with the association there of some of the other things, but
you'll never get me in trouble when I say anything from Israel is my favorite.
Oh, okay. I get the setup there. I just put up. All right. I see what that setup was that was in my questions here. Okay, well, now we know. And I'm looking at you guys provided us a wine map of Israel. And can people find this picture on your guys' website?
Yeah, it's well. You know what? After this conversation here, we're going to make sure we post it right away to our Instagram page so people can refer back to it and talk to it. I'll make sure our social media, a great social media team, goes out and posts it and gets it out there. But that map reflects where all the wineries themselves are, where like the building is, where they're making the wine. The cool part about Israel is they can get their grapes from, it's just like you said, it's a small country. So they can get their grapes from pretty much wherever they want in the country and still get them back to the winery to make some great wine. But a lot of the wineries are actually being more geographical specific of where they're pulling grapes from. But you know, the country's small enough to be able to really, going all the way down to the Negev, you can go, the joke is if you really wake up early, you can go scuba diving in the morning all the way down south. And you can go all the way up to the Golan Heights and go skiing in the same day.
Yeah, you can float in the Dead Sea with your wine glass.
I've done that. I'll send you that picture, Chris. I have that picture.
Is that picture? Let's see here. I don't think. I don't think
you have that one. I'll send you that though.
Here's a picture of the wine fields. It's beautiful. Big thing. You know, the country doesn't look that small. I mean, we joke about Israel being small country, but yeah, I mean, it's expansive. There's
a lot of land there, a lot of farmland,
a lot of grapes, a lot of wine, a lot of drinking and stuff, and it's all kosher, folks. So no complaining about whatever that means. What was the other questions that I had?
You know what? When you trace the term back, it's all kosher, which you've been using forever. It just means it's all good. It's all awesome. It's all you know. It's good vibes these days anyway. So kosher is like good vibes, right?
Yeah. Someone wash their hands. Which I don't when I make wine. I don't wash my feet. No, I'm just kidding, folks. I don't do any of that. What country would you compare the wines of Israel to?
I would compare it to where the winemaker learned their ways. I would compare it to, you know, if the winemaker studied at UC Davis in California, I think him or her are stylistically trying to make their wines more that style. I think with technology there for them and with so much education there for them, I think it allows them to make wines really both ways, new world, old world, however they prefer.
And you guys say you have enhanced grape quality that controlled stress from regulated water delivery. That's kind of what I do to my plants and my body, I think, too. You get improved phenolic?
Yeah, so what that is, it's like a little monitor, a little like strap around the plant. That we can like kind of monitor the plant, check her out, and make sure that they're good and what's going on is all good. And if they need more water, we'll give it to them. If they need more nutrients, we're there for it. That's our friend. We love the plant.
Yeah,
we're tree huggers.
Data-driven irrigation as well. You know, you guys have such a great technology thing. We've had so many technologists. Your own little Silicon Valley over there. You know, Waze came out of there. I'm trying to think of some other apps and companies that came out of there in technology. And so you guys are really good at that. And I'm sure it sounds like you've utilized some of that stuff into your winemaking and wine processing. So what more have we talked about that maybe we should share with people, have them get to know better, have them figure out where to get more, find out more about the wines?
I think something cool also to do is, you know, if you want to play a game with your friends, I think wine is supposed to be fun and spirits are supposed to be fun. You're supposed to find fun ways to do cool things. Two ways I can tell you to have fun with my wines are go buy yourself a bottle, bring it to a friend's house and just tell them the story, look up the story, you know, find the story yourself out about the winery and just turn them on to a new amazing thing about wine and tell them a story about a winery they've never heard of before. And then a second fun thing I love doing is just bringing a wine in a brown bag and not telling them where it's from. Letting them taste it and showing them, say, hey, look, this was from Israel. I bet you would never have guessed that. And it's just, you know, turning them on to something new and, you know, showing something fun to them.
Yeah. And then every now and then play a joke on them and say it's the bagged bottle of wine that you got from the wino on the corner. No, I'm just kidding. Don't do that, folks. That's probably not sanitary. That's probably not kosher either because it's been opened and drinking by some guy who probably needs a bath. Why are we doing homeless jokes on the Chris Voss Show? I don't know. It's all good. So Joshua, give us your final thoughts and pitch out as we go out on the show.
Well, you know, I just want to say thanks, Chris, for having me on. I think, you know, having the opportunity to talk about wines from Israel and the great history behind it and what makes wine so powerful for so many people is the stories that their families or their ancestors got behind it and did. So wine is historical. Wine is fun. Wine is friendly. Wine is supposed to be some of this cool, amazing thing. So I think trying new wines is also a way for you to go out there and learn about new places of the world that you might not know about completely. So when you open a wine from Italy, go learn about that part of it. When you go open a wine from California, go check out that little part of California. When you open something from Israel, go do a little research on Israel and look about what you're learning about and the history behind it and all the great stuff coming out of there. And,
Do you guys host any like Temecula used to have me come a lot to promote them, and we tour the wine things. Do you guys do any wine tour, vacation tour packages or anything yet, where you can go around and hit all the wines?
Yeah, you can definitely. The visitor centers are open and ready to go. After a long day of touring and seeing history, there's nothing better than having a huge glass of wine to absorb all that history and knowledge that you just saw while running around Israel. If it was to the caves or to Masada or to Jerusalem and walking the old streets, having a glass of wine after learning about history all day, there's nothing better.
Yeah, or just having a glass of wine at the end of the day, regardless of anything. I do miss wine cellaring and collecting wines. It was so great. I never really, I was like, okay, yeah, you put in the cellar and yeah, whatever, it's going to taste great 5 years from now. And I was kind of like, yada, yada, yada. But man, it really is amazing when you can get 5 or almost 10 years. I don't think I've ever gotten to 10 years. I start getting corkage on shit. And maybe it's something I'm doing wrong with storage. But
well, I'll tell you this. So my son was born in 2013, and my wine cellar now is nothing but 2013.
Wow!
For his bar mitzvah and/or wedding, where I'm going to be cracking bottles of his birth year.
Oh wow! Yeah.
So.
If I had kids, I'd be drinking too. No, I'm just kidding. That's a parent joke. So thank you very much for coming on the show. We really appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me, Chris. Appreciate it.
And give us the .coms one more time as we go out.
It's at Israeli Wines. It's at IWPA. And my personal one is at Jag Wines at Instagram.
Thank you very much for coming on the show. We really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you. And thanks to our audience for tuning in. Go to goodreads.com/Chris Voss, LinkedIn.com/Chris Voss. Chris Voss is one of the TikTok and all those crazy places on the internet. The best thing that I do with a lot of things that I'm interested in, whether it's wines or something else, go to the individual websites and subscribe to their newsletters. And that way you learn about the wines and you learn about the stuff. And, that's how you get it done, folks. Anyway, guys, be good to each other. Stay safe. We'll see you next time. That should have us out. Great show, man.